تمام. بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. So yesterday we had stopped at what is the ruling for the pregnant and breastfeeding woman. It's a bit confusing, of course, the different opinions. Just to go over them real quick here, then to read to you what the different books of the different madahib, different schools of law, Islamic law have said. Where is it? It's between them. If they fear that they cannot fast, then they don't have to fast, and either they make up for the days by fasting some other days, or they make up or they atone for those days by feeding the poor. And then the third opinion is that they don't have to feed the poor and they don't have to make up for the days. That's the basic three different opinions with some details within each school. The one who said they don't have to make up for the days or feed, that's madhab of Imam Ibn Hazm. But all the other scholars, like all the major four schools, said either they have to make up for the days or they have to make atonement. And why did they differ? Because some of them considered the pregnant and the breastfeeding woman and in the same state of somebody who is sick. فَمَنْ كَانَ مِنْكُمْ مَرِيضًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ فَعِدَّةٌ مِنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرَ. They considered this is like a temporary kind of ailment that hinders their capacity to fast. So that is why they said they have to make up for the days. While others considered that this pregnancy and breastfeeding is a long illness. It's because the pregnancy will extend for 9 months, breastfeeding can extend for 2 more years. If you look at this, then this may include maybe 2 Ramadan, even sometimes 3, based on when they started the pregnancy and the breastfeeding. So it really makes it a bit difficult for those women to make up for 2 or 3 Ramadan, correct? Yes. So that makes that opinion of atoning for the days by feeding the poor much more practical, and it's a very valid and legitimate opinion. And this is the opinion of Imam Ibn Abbas, of course, the Sahabi. It makes perfect sense as well. Of course, the Maliki madhab said that they have to make up for the days, and most madhahib said if they were worried about themselves, they make up for the days. If they were worried about their children and not themselves, they had no problem, that they actually make up for the days and they pay fidya. But this addition of atonement plus making up for the days, there's no evidence for it actually. She clearly says here, and I was looking for any evidence, I read other books looking for where did they get this from. She clearly said here that to make them make up for the days and feed the poor, there is no text, no nas, and no ijma', and there's no consensus on this matter. So to ask him to do double the work, to fast and to make up for the days, really there's no evidence for that. Okay, that's an important point. Not only that, some madhahib even said that for every Ramadan that passes, the fidya is doubled. It's like taxes.
That is punitive.
Seriously, they said, if they don't make up for the days before the next Ramadan, then the fidya has to be doubled. And there's no evidence for all this. It's very important that we don't place obligations on ourselves or on anybody else that we don't have a clear text from the Quran or the Sunnah or consensus of the scholars. And because usually when scholars reach a consensus, they base it on a clear text that everybody understood it in the same way. Usually you won't find a consensus that's not based on a text. What's the source of this consensus? Why didn't anyone differ? Because obviously they had some texts that tell us that now. And if to tell them that you don't have to feed or make up for the days, maybe if somebody is really poor, maybe they can use the opinion of Imam Ibn Hazm. I just wanted to correct something from last class, from yesterday's class. I mentioned that Imam Malik, when he got old, he couldn't fast and he was feeding, and he says, وَلَا أَرَاهُ وَاجِبًا, and I don't feel it's obligatory. Actually, it was Anas ibn Malik, the Sahabi, when he grew old, he couldn't fast and he was feeding. And Imam Malik, who came after him, said, well, لا أراه واجبا. He says, I don't feel that he had to do that. You follow? I got mixed between Anas ibn Malik and Malik ibn Anas, because his name is Malik ibn Anas also. So, of course, the person who is sick temporarily or a traveler, it's very clear, the Nas is clear. We have a clear text. فَمَنْ كَانَ مِنْكُمْ مَرِيضًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ فَعِدَّةٌ مِنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرَ. Nobody differed on this. قال ابن حزم في مراتب الإجماع. This is a consensus. See? He says واتفقوا أن من أفطر في سفر أو مرض فعليه قضاء أيام عدد ما أفطر. No problem with that. This probably applies also to people who have a very hard labor job, who also have a very long day, who could not fast because they would get sick. Then they are treated as somebody who is sick as well. Now, the next point is, what is better for the traveler? Is it better for him or her to fast or not to fast? The three madhahib, the Maliki, Hanafi, and Shafi'i, said it is better for them to fast if they are not affected by the fasting. If there's no mashaqqa, no hardship. All of them, all the scholars agree that if there's a hardship, it is better for them to break the fast. Actually, they even said that if, some scholars said that if he's going to get sick from fasting while traveling, then it is haram for him to fast. Because he has a rukhsa, he has an excuse not to fast. Why would he put a hardship on himself, undue hardship? Okay? Allah says, وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ بِكُمْ رَحِيمًا. But Hanabila, for instance, the Hanbali school of law, they felt that even if you're not tired by fasting, not affected in any way by fasting, it is preferred for you not to fast. Ibn Taymiyyah said that very clearly, and this is the madhab also of Hanabila, that this is the rukhsa. Allah says, يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمُ الْيُسْرَ وَلَا يُرِيدُ بِكُمُ الْعُسْرَ اللَّهُ يُحِبُّ أَن تُؤْتَى رُخَصُهُ كَمَا يُحِبُّ أَن تُؤْتَى عَزَائِمُهُ. Allah loves for us to take these gifts from Him, and that's how they base this opinion. Also, there's a hadith actually, Prophet ﷺ says, لَيْسَ مِنَ الْبِرِّ الصَّوْمُ فِي السَّفَرِ. This is in Bukhari and Muslim, it's an authentic hadith, that it is not righteousness to fast during traveling. The people who said it's better for him to fast, they said this hadith applies to people who have hardship, and really they are right. Because he said that in the context, كان الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم في سفر فرأى زحاما ورجلا قد ظلل عليه فقال ما هذا. He was traveling with his companions and he saw people gathered in one place and crowded in one place, and he went to see what's happening, and they find them all trying to shade and blow some air on a person. And he said to them, what is happening here? They said, قالوا صائم. He is fasting. Then he said, ليس من البر الصيام صوم في السفر. It is not righteousness to fast. If this is your condition and you will need help, then better not to fast. Let me read you another hadith in this matter. كنا نغزو مع رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم في رمضان فمنا الصائم ومنا المفطر فلا يجد الصائم على المفطر، يعني لا يعيب. وفي بعض الروايات ولا فلم يعب الصائم على المفطر ولم يعب المفطر على الصائم. فلا يجد الصائم على المفطر ولا المفطر على الصائم. يرون أن من وجد قوة فصام فإن ذلك حسن، ويرون أن من وجد ضعفا فأفطر فإن ذلك حسن. والحديث في صحيح مسلم. Authentic hadith. Abu Sa'id al-Khudri says, we used to travel with the Prophet ﷺ in Ramadan. Some of us would fast, some of us would not fast. People who fasted never blamed those who did not fast, and people who did not fast never blamed those who fasted. And then he says, whoever felt strong enough to fast, we felt that this was okay and better for them. And whoever felt that too weak to fast, we felt that was better for them. That's very clear text. You can't get more clear than this. عن حديث حمزة ابن عمرو الأسلمي قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أصوم في السفر وكان كثير الصيام ما شاء الله. He used to fast lots. حمزة ابن عمرو الأسلمي. فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إن شئت فصوم وإن شئت فأفطر. حديث البخاري ومسلم. He says to him, should I fast while traveling? He says, it's up to you. You can fast or you may not fast. And he was somebody who fasted lots. Obviously, he had no problem with fasting, and people differed. And even Sahaba, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, sometimes he was asked, why don't you fast lots like other Sahaba? He says, when I fast, and he was known to have a weaker body, and we know this from other hadith. He says, when I fast, I get weak, and even affects my prayer, and prayer is more beloved to me. He found more iman in his heart if he prayed than he fasted, so he doesn't really have to fast more than the obligation, of course. Fasting Ramadan, you have to fast regardless. Now, we're talking here about here in the story of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud is talking about optional fasting, and the same for this man Hamza ibn Amr. The first hadith was talking about Ramadan specifically. What this Tamim say here, she says الذي يترجح عندي في هذه المسألة ما ذهب إليه الجمهور ومنهم الأئمة الثلاثة مالك والشافعي وأبو حنيفة من أن الصوم في السفر لمن يقوى عليه ولم يشق عليه أفضل، لأن ما ذهب إليه الجمهور فيه جمع بين حديث أبي سعيد الخدري ذكرناه المتقدم في الباب وغيره وبين حديث جابر ليس من الصوم ليس من البر الصوم في السفر والله تعالى. She says it is better, and she takes the opinion of the majority, it is better for those who are not affected by the fasting to fast while traveling. That's a very nice opinion here. I will conclude with this second following point. Is it allowed for somebody who plans to travel during that day to break his fast from the morning even before he embarks on a journey? Again, scholars have differed on this matter. Some of them said you're not allowed, such as Imam Abu Hanifa wa Malik. Shafi'i took a middle opinion. I will mention the hadith to you. He says لا يجوز له أن يفطر إلا إذا ثبت أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أفطر يوم الكديد. يوم الكديد عن ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما أن الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم خرج إلى مكة في رمضان فصام حتى بلغ الكديد أفطر فأفطر الناس. حديث البخاري ومسلم. Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم went to Mecca in Ramadan. He broke his fast when he reached a place called Al-Kadid. He broke his fast when he reached that place called Al-Kadid, and everybody broke their fast. Shafi'i says, if we know that he had broken his fast from earlier and he just showed it to the people when he reached Al-Kadid, then it makes sense that it's permissible to not fast from the beginning of the day if you know that you're traveling that same day. So he basically tawaqquf. He didn't give a clear opinion here on what he chooses, while Imam Abu Hanifa and Malik said no. If you woke up and you started the morning at home, then you do not break your fast. You do not break your fast. Because لأنه شرع في الصوم فوجب إتمامه. Because he already started an act of worship, he should not break it. Okay. وذهب أحمد في المشهور عنه أهل الظاهر أنه يجوز أن يفطر وحجتهم حديث ابن عباس. Imam Ahmad and أهل الظاهر, basically أهل الظاهر means the literalist, such as Imam Ibn Hazm. They took another hadith عن ابن عباس قال خرج النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في رمضان إلى حنين والناس مختلفون فصائم ومفطر فلما استوى على راحلته دعا بإناء من لبن أو ماء فوضعه على راحلته على راحته أو على راحلته ثم نظر إلى الناس فقال المفطرون للصوام أفطروا. This hadith is in Bukhari. They said Prophet ﷺ was going to Hunayn, to the battle of Hunayn. And some people were fasting, some people were not fasting. So when he got up on his ride, he asked for a cup of, or a glass of water or milk. Basically, the narrator was not sure, because obviously they were not in glass, probably made out of some kind of pottery. So he put it on his hand, which means to drink in front of the people. And then at that point, the people who did not fast said to the people who were fasting, now break your fast. So actually this is a stronger opinion, and not only because of these two hadith. I've read other texts from multiple Sahaba, authentic texts. Even Anas ibn Malik did the same. He broke his fast before he left home, and another Sahabi or a Tabi asked him, Sunnah? He says, Sunnah. He says, is this a Sunnah? He says, yes, it is a Sunnah. And other Sahaba, Ibn Umar as well. She says here, we'll finish with this. والذي يظهر لي بعد عرض أدلة كل طائفة في المسألة أن الصواب هو ما ذهب إليه الإمام أحمد وأهل الظاهر والشوكاني وهو مذهب, she said, وهو مذهب الشافعي لأنه علق جواز الفطر للمسافر على صحة الحديث. He says, and even the Shafi'i would have said the same, because he based his opinion on the hadith. If it's proven to be authentic. Anyhow, she says yes, it is allowed not to fast if you plan to travel during the daytime that day, You can break your fast from the beginning of the day. You don't have to fast, although you know it is a day of Ramadan, but you expect to be traveling, inshallah, during that same day. He says the people who said no, basically they used qiyas wa ra'i, they used opinion, and we have clear cut texts. We have to follow the clear cut text rather than opinion in every matter, of course, in Sharia. Shall we stop here?